Now, welcome back to Ireland AM. Think the pandemic just gave you Zoom fatigue and a sourdough obsession? Think again.
Yes, we are diving into how trauma, illness and even just constant anxiety can actually speed up your biological clock. Professor Roseanne Kenny, Chair of Gerontology at Trinity College Dublin, joins us now. Good morning, Roseanne.
Good morning.
So this is a new study published in Nature Communications, and it suggests that people's brains aged faster during the COVID-19 pandemic, even if they were never infected. So how exactly did the pandemic age us? Which is just wonderful news, really, for all of us, isn't it?
Absolutely.
So, first of all, the way they did the study, we can measure brain aging from pictures of the brain, MRI scans. So they actually used almost 16,000 brain scans in a very large series studies in the UK called UK Biobank. And they derived an algorithm using machine learning, etc., for brain aging. So you can measure how old your brain is, roughly. So that's a really nice outcome, first of all. And then they took two different groups of people. People who had had, before COVID, 2 brain scans a few years apart, say 5 years apart, and then people who had had a scan before COVID and during or immediately after COVID, the same period apart. And they said they found in those 2 different groups of people that the pace of aging of the brain was faster in the post-COVID group.
Right.
So COVID itself influenced brain aging. That's the first thing.
Right.
And then they went on to do function tests. How does the brain function? Memory, concentration, planning, all the important things our brain does every day, and found that actually it was only people who were infected with COVID who had an impact on function. So although we noted the radiological brain aging changes, the functioning of the brain was just pertinent for those who had COVID. And you often hear this with patients who say, not all patients, but some patients who experience particularly long COVID will say, I feel brain fog. And we were never quite sure what did that mean.
Yeah. I think most people were catching COVID at one point or another, weren't they?
Yeah.
Did anyone go unscathed?
Well, it's not... Well, certainly in our TILDA study, the Irish Longitudinal Study on Ageing, which at wave 1 had an average age of about 64, but it's for people 50 and older, we would have found maybe, I think, 9% experienced COVID.
Really?
From the tests we did.
Okay.
But actually only 3% had symptoms of COVID. So it's not as common as you think.
So the study reported that on average the brain's age accelerated by 5.5 months. Is that a significant change? Is it something that people should be worried about, or in the grand scheme of things?
So, I mean, it's 5.5 months.
Yeah.
OK, so your memory might go 5.5 months, be a little bit dodgy earlier than it had been. However, what we don't know is long-term. If you are slightly more diligent about the things we know, help the brain to stay as young as possible, then that may not have any impact at all. And physical activity is one thing. Stress is not good for brain health.
Of course.
So de-stressing rituals like meditation, even deep breathing a few times a day has a positive impact on brain health. And social engagement, one of the most important things for slowing down body and brain aging, is friendships, good friendships.
And we didn't have any of that during the pandemic, of course. We were locked up, we couldn't go to the gym, we couldn't talk to our friends.
That's it.
Now, let's look at the other end of that, because while most people's brains aged around 5.5 months, some saw up to a 20-month acceleration.
Yeah.
So who would be most at risk for that level of ageing?
So they found from the study that the people most at risk were men.
Sorry, Kevin.
And people from lower socioeconomic groupings,
Really?
those who experienced, who were in the more poverty end of the spectrum in terms of socioeconomics, were much more vulnerable. Yeah.
And I know you mentioned there things like meditation and stuff to help with brain ageing, but in terms of damage that's been done, is it possible to recover from it and to reverse?
So this is also, I think, good news. We know the brain is plastic, so you can actually turn things around. Now, there are some levels, there are some thresholds beyond which you can't, OK? So if the cells reach a certain level of dysfunctioning, you can't reverse the pathological changes. But generally speaking, the brain is plastic, and you can work on the brain, and you can renew the brain's functions, yes.
Okay, so
Did you ever have That brain training for the Nintendo DS.
Yes.
Honestly, bring it back. Did you ever hear of it?
No.
Dr. Kawashima, honest to God, it
Yeah.
reduced the brain age. My mum is at it every day.
Really?
Yeah, but sure, no one has a DS anymore.
So any sort of mental function like that is really important. The brain loves variety. So keep stimulating the brain.
Yeah.
Lots of variety.
And socialising and physical activity.
And socialising and physical activity, but also brain games. They're good.
Okay. But now you have an excuse for going out all the time. You're like, I'm keeping my brain age young.
Exactly.
You know?
And I'm meeting my friends and I'm staying young.
Correct. Yeah.
In other news, I think maybe we should be looking towards iconic divas such as Mariah Carey. She recently said that she doesn't acknowledge time and that ageing just doesn't happen to her. Is Mariah Carey immortal? Is she different from us regular humans?
Or does she just have loads of bobs? Is that what it is?
Well, she certainly has enough of money to pay for whichever plastic surgery she fancies. Okay,
so shots fired, Roseanne.
I'm sure there's some of that involved, and she would also be doing with help all of the things that we know work. And you know, it's hard to do those things on your own, but if you have peer support or other support, then it makes it a lot easier.
Okay.
Absolutely. Do you do any crosswords and stuff in the morning?
I love a crossword at the weekend.
I do my Wordle,
I
do my Mini, and I do my Wordle. What else do I do? I also do the odd Sudoku.
Connections. Do the connections.
Connections.
They're very good.
But sometimes it's very American-centric and I don't understand any of the words and I feel bad about myself.
You'll have the brain of a toddler before you know it, Kevin. You know?
You're doing more than I'm doing, that's for sure.
Oh, I doubt that. I'd say you're very into this stuff, Roseanne, are you?
No, I'm not, because I do an awful lot, obviously, reading and work. And I like physical activity really matters. And at any age, it's important, but it's particularly important over the age of 50. The more, the merrier.
Okay,
I used to sign up to High Rocks. You heard it here.
That's it. Look, he's always plugging it. Roseanne, thank you so much for joining us today.
You're welcome.
Right, coming up over the next hour, we'll catch up with Derek for some summer painting in Portmarnock.
And we'll catch up with traveller, activist and writer Owen Devardoon to chat about the travelling community and the folklore that surrounds them. We'll be right back.